you can release various forces of economic development in a city and actually tap the comparative advantage of a city very well. So essentially, the new paradigm, coming back to your question, is about professionalism. It is about modernization. It is about building the internal strength in a city to act like a multinational corporation, actually to be able to respond to the challenges of the environment, as it were, and to be very nimble and flexible in terms of its positioning. So yes, that is the new paradigm.
Well, thank you very much. Tell me, which could be the main aspects in the professionalization of these cities, city management programs?
I think the first aspect would be to create a core within the municipal administration, which is a professional core. What we did in Ahmedabad, for instance, the city I used to run, we brought in MBAs, we brought in chartered accountants, we brought in new, engineering technology into the whole thing. So it changed the way we looked at municipal management. These guys brought in a fresh way of thinking, and it also created accountabilities because we developed systems that helped us to change the perception of the municipal body. I mean, introducing computerization, introducing voluntary, you could do your own tax returns on sitting at home. So it did bring these aspects into it, and it changed the culture to a great extent. I think municipal management cannot be about a culture of administration which is so much behind the economic development and the economic transformation national institution and nations are going through. So it is important. What started happening was the alignment of a local body to a national mainstream of economic development, and that is very important even for better macro stability. It is important that at the subnational level you have systems and you have the professional strengths to really supplement that. So I think that is the essential. We tried it in Ahmedabad. It completely, the most important thing what it did in the city of Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad is a city of 6 million people in India, and has been a center of professionalism. It had the Indian Institute of Management in Ahmedabad, the most prestigious institute that we have. It has several professional institutions. It has been a bit of a place of excellence in terms of education and institutional strength. Very much like Monterey, like the city of Monterey benefits from Monterey Tech. And one of the issues, which is a little digression I want to say, is that great cities, one of the interesting element of a great city is to have great institutions, because those institutions create the ability in a city to continuously reinvent itself. That's if you look at Boston, if you look at Ahmedabad, if you look at Monterey, if you look at the great cities of the world, one essential feature has been a great educational institution which provides the human resources and the foundation for that. So yes, it's very much about creating a professional environment and excellence in terms of knowledge, excellence in terms of sensitivities, excellence in terms of cultural sensitivities. So we did this, and one of the main impacts of it was that the face of municipal management turned from looking inwards and making itself a vested interest towards the people. And in municipal management, this is one of the biggest challenges. We had 42,000 employees. Do they exist for themselves, or do they exist for the people, 6 million people of the city? And essentially, there is this element of vested interest that does turn the face of a municipal body or a public sector towards its own ends. And this started changing. When the people started getting interested, they started getting to know more. And when the municipal administration ceased to be a mysterious kind of a place where nobody knew what the city hall was doing, and suddenly everybody was finding it, okay, the windows are open, we can look inside this municipal body, and we can feel that it is working for us. There was a resurgence of I think, the people getting into it, which helped us to raise standards, the expectations of the people, the kind of communication, the inclusiveness, the need to communicate. So our professionalization also led to a situation in which we had the confidence and the comfort to communicate with the people, because we were performing. We started performing at higher standards. So we had this confidence to communicate. So every day we would tell the people, this is what the municipal corporation can do, is doing, and this is what it can't do. We also set up systems, for instance, systems of standard response from the municipal corporation to the problems of delivery of basic services. For instance, if what we had 132 wards. In every ward, you have a ward office. So in every ward office, we started putting very clear information boards conveying to the people of the ward that, look, if you have a water problem, this is, firstly, the standard response is that within 2 hours, this has to be dealt with. If it is not dealt with in 2 hours, you actually call up this assistant city engineer. If it doesn't get sorted out in the next 4 hours, call the city engineer. And if it goes beyond that, call the office of the municipal commissioner. And all that, because of the systems we had, got computerized. It came as a MIS data to me as a management information system, and we could actually respond in a very standardized way, and everybody felt accountable, because earlier, assistant engineers would not be seen in the ward office. But once the system forced them to respond, they had to be there at the ward office. They had to also make sure that the materials are available, that the system can respond to the needs of the public. So perhaps answering your question that way, this is what happened, and this is very exciting,
Yeah, well, we are learning a lot. And let me ask you, could you talk a little bit more about the tools that you use to open this word to the community? How the community start communicating with you? And
the first tool, Laura, was committed, professional, honest work. The basics, that roads would be done in high quality manner. They would align to the best specification. If buses were being built, they would be built by high specification. They would go on time. They would stop where they are supposed to stop. If water supply has to be ensured. We can only supply water in the morning and afternoon. It's not 24 hours supply. So it had to be that at 5 o'clock there has to be pressure and a pressure for people to get water. So all systems. So one tool was to be on the street at 5 in the morning, to be going around every day from 5 to 7 through the slums, through the city, and to be visible as a municipal officer. I think that was very important, because earlier when we were going through this lack of communication and relationship with the public, people were kind of going through a withdrawal mechanism, withdrawal system. They didn't have the confidence and comfort. Once they started working and the public started appreciating them, it was amazing. So the first instrument was to get the basics right, to provide service, the cleaning of the streets, and making sure that the 42,000 employees really work for the people, not for themselves or for some private interest, but for the people. And it started showing up, That was the first. The second thing that we did was the instrument of communication. I think municipal management is about connecting with people. You have to make sure that the people understand what we are trying to do and what we are not trying to do, and also to ensure that they also know about the new things that can happen. Like, I'll come to the issue of municipal bonds and other things, but people are interested. They are interested in their city. They've lived there. So everybody, right from child to everybody. One thing that we started doing was to involve our children in the schools. We ran 570 primary schools in the city. With 360,000 children went to school. The first thing what we did, we started a program on making the children understand what is hygiene, what is good health, what is it about saving water. So we started getting complaints from fathers, where they would keep the tap on while they're shaving. The child would go and shut the tap, so there's very little water in the city. Don't waste it. So we use the children. We also use the youth in a big way. It's a city, Ahmedabad is communally sensitive. And there have been a lot of tension, a lot of rioting and other things. So we needed to ease the pressure out there and to make the youth feel more connected. We created a lot of sports event and cultural event and youth-oriented events where communities could participate instead of, getting spatially segregated to feel. Cricket is a very popular game there. So we would play night cricket. I would join myself, and all of us would go and play in the night, right through 10 in the night to 2 in the night. And it was, a bit of a celebration of all of us coming together, We also use the NGOs in a big way. The city has some of the best NGOs in the country. It's where the tradition of Ahmedabad is that Ahmedabad was the place from where Mahatma Gandhi actually ran the war of independence and the civil disobedience and everything. That was his, what we in Hindi call Karma Bhumi, the place, the action where he instituted all actions. So it has a great tradition of trusteeship, of NGOs, non-government organizations doing that. It is also the place where Self-Employed Women's Association, SEWA, under Ila Bhatt, has been doing great work with women banking, microcredit, and a lot of development things. So that was another instrument, using the NGOs to connect with the people and to bring the people into this. I think we also use the professionals. In the municipal management systems that we have, usually professional architects, professional urban planners keep away from municipal management. They just do their own thing. They're never available. But we brought the industry in. We brought the industry to manage our parks, and we created a competition among all the industry of the city who would manage the best park, and their wives would get the prize. So there was an interesting competition among wives about this is the garden is with me and this is garden with that, and so they managed it. We brought the industry in a big way into the thinking of municipal government, and we brought the professionals in. So we had big names, Kamal Mangaldas and V.B. Doshi and others who are great, who teach at Harvard, but don't give any inputs to the city. They all came back into this. So this was, it was on reflection what started happening. It was a bit of a celebration for the entire community to come together on their city.
Well, that was wonderful. And now let me ask you about what did you do to make the city, to transform the city as an engine of change in the economical aspect?
It is a very powerful engine of economic growth, Ahmedabad. It was known as the Manchester of India. It had the textile sector. But the interesting part was that the city shows the resilience to reinvent itself continuously. So it went from textile to dyes and dyes stuffs, diamond industries, and into agrochemicals, into fertilizer manufacturing, and then converted itself back into textile. It is one of the centers of. It is the third largest producer of denim in the world. Diamonds are cut in Ahmedabad. So as an engine of growth, yes. Firstly, people started feeling that the municipal corporation was able to give certificates and clearances much quicker and in a much transparent manner. You came to the municipal corporation. We had a one window system. You came in, you didn't have to go to the desk of every officer. You could just come up to the window and give your application. There was a clear procedure set out and a time within which we will respond to this. And once we started responding to this, industry started getting interested that, oh good, we can get land, we can get incentives, we can get social infrastructure. Social infrastructure is important, as well as we can get good infrastructure in terms of environmental management, in terms of skills for our people, for the industry. So all that. A lot of people actually, it's very interesting. A lot of people living in Bangalore and different parts of the country started coming back, and people started coming back from US to come back to stay in the city. It was an amazing to participate in this regeneration. And I think the important part was that our resources jumped.
Well, how do you deal with corruption, and how do you manage your resources?
Look, firstly, it is the systems. If you have systems which are transparent and actually are so modernized that everybody can access information, then it is not easy to be corrupt. That is number one. So if we issued a building permit earlier, if you got a building permit, nobody could access it, the details of it. And therefore, you and the municipal government could do whatever you wanted to do. But now, under the new system, I know what is in your building permit. It's fully transparent. Everybody knew. So people are not going to do anything very different from the standard if everybody knows about it, because people are asking why this fellow got this permission, why am I not getting it? So that was one issue. The other issue is about again the credibility and the leadership and the quality of management of the municipal government. It is very important that municipal officers feel a sense of appreciation and a sense of being recognized by the city, and that started happening. They started behaving differently. The municipal government officials started feeling a sense of pride in their work. Now, I'll just give you one instance. One of our deputy commissioners one day came and kind of was very emotional, sat in front of me, and I said, what happened to you? He said, I was in a queue for to get gas in my car. I was number 20 in that queue. But people saw me, and they could see whose car was it. So all the 19 removed their cars and said, Mr. Sharma, could you go and fill up your gas? You guys are doing a great job. You can't be allowed to wait in a queue. So that was a new thing that they were feeling. So that feeling of 42,000 employees, and they're connecting to 6 million employees. It's an amazing strength. It just, the resources transform themselves. We had a 300% increase in our resources in 6 months. And people started paying arrears, and we did $100 million of public works in 3 years. And what I'm very proud of is, this is the first city that got credit rated and received a AA SO credit rating through an independent agency, CRISIL. And this is also the first city that floated its city bond, the municipal bond, without any guarantees, either from the state government or from the national government. I think that is that. One thing more, the last thing on this I'd like to say, credit rating is a very interesting exercise. Not only, and municipal bond, this exercise is not just about getting financial resources in. It creates a sense of ownership in a city among the people. So a lot of Ahmedabadis from my city would go to Bombay to their counterparts and they say, is Bombay credit rated? Have you floated a municipal bond? They hadn't. But Ahmedabad had. So there was this sense of pride and belonging to the city. And I think running municipal systems is great fun.
But tell me, how long it takes to make that cultural change, to make the community feel part of the city?
From day one. It doesn't take time. I was brought in when the city was hit by plague, and actually people were angry, and if they saw the car of the municipal commissioner, they would throw stones at it. That was the situation. But then we decided to face those stones, walk back to the community and sit with them and really start engaging. Mm-hmm. And from day one, it is known, the mayor and the municipal commissioner, if they are really out there with the community with the intent and purpose of really changing and delivering high quality stuff, people start talking about it. So from day one, instead of throwing stones, people started talking, and they saw that we sat and we really made sure that the problem did not exist. So from day one, the talk starts. Oh, well, there is systematic change, there is a change in leadership, there is a different intent, and people are looking for it. The great thing is people are looking for the excitement of city management. When you are building a road, 10,000 people will just stand there and watch road being built first time under new specifications. Gardens, when they started blooming, thousands of people will come and just sit around in the gardens and feel good about it. So that change can be done quickly, and it is a change. The most interesting part is the connectivity of the people with their municipal corporation, because it is for them that it exists. And if that culture changes, that you do not exist for yourself, but you exist for the people who you are supposed to be serving, that change manifests itself very quickly.
In Mexico, some of the municipalities have a very low budget and resources. What do you think would be a good strategy? What would you suggest?
I don't know Mexico very well, so and it's not healthy to talk out of ignorance. But again, what I do feel that there is a scope to revalue land, for instance, to revalue properties, to revalue the taxation system without people feeling the pressure under it. And it can be done in a progressive manner. But the revaluation, the property must be valued in an authentic, real manner. You can't have in 2009 property values that are of 1994 or 1980. So my impression is that within the city space, there are possibilities and potential and scope of enhancing the municipal resources. We did not, the city of Ahmedabad never received, and we actually refused any kind of funding from Government of India or from the state government. We decided to go it alone, and we did not take any money from the World Bank also. I'm pretty happy to say that. We did not want it, because within the city there was enough potential to revitalize the resource base in a manner that it changed. I mean, we were somewhere at that time, our budget was something like $65 million. It went to $265 million. So, and today, Ahmedabad budget is almost close to $1 billion. It is the most progressive and profit-making municipal government, which is experimenting with new structures of governance and e-governance and everything. Actually, one important issue is that the trend has stayed. The trend towards innovation and progress has stayed.
Let me ask you another question. In Mexico, one of the problems that we have is that because the administration stands for 3 years, sometimes when you do wonderful things, the next administration arrives and we lose everything. So tell me what happened when you left the city. What happened with those wonderful transformations?
You know, the most stabilizing feature or the sustainable feature, to use the cliche of sustainability, is that the people determine the kind of systems and administrative efficiency that is there. Now, you know, I don't want to portray myself as if I revolutionized the whole municipal management systems or whatever, but you know, people saw certain new standards and new things happening, parks looking better, city cleaner, 340 kilometers of road being built, more resources, municipal corporation flushed with funds, better sports, youth activities, people feeling good about it, credit rating, municipal bonds. Everybody knew about it. 6 million people know that this can be done. It can be done right in front of them. So the next administration that comes feels the pressure that the bar can't go down anymore. People are saying, what is the problem? You are now starting at a higher base. You should be able to continue at least, or not just improve. So what has happened in Ahmedabad, actually the interesting part, the credit rating has stayed. They have issued the 5th municipal bond, the only city in India that has continued to issue municipal bonds on a non-guaranteed basis. It is the most profitable organization. It has gone into e-governance in a big way in the city, and I think they've experimented with new structures. So even administrations that have followed, I mean, here it's a structured process that it changes every 3 years. In India, it's a democratic process. It can change in 5 years or it can change every 2 years. You don't know. And in our case, it did change. I saw 3 or 4, if I remember correctly, administrations in 3 years. But it was a commitment which went beyond politics. It went beyond any kind of limitations of municipal government. It went to the people, and that commitment started progressing itself on its own. So I do feel that if the people get involved, then these changes will remain very constant.
Okay, and so you were working for 2 or 3 different administrations, as you were saying. So will it be a good idea to have a city, somebody who will be in charge of the administration of the city without any political relation? Do you think that could be a good idea?
I think much can be said on both the sides. You know, in India, the municipal commissioners, who are the administrative head of a city government, come from the Indian civil service, which is the federal civil service. Okay, so we are liable to stay 2 years or 3 years or 4 years or 6 months. We can change, but we are the people who run the municipal government under the overall policy and guidance and structure of the political system. Now, in the US, you have an office of a city manager, and the city manager is a permanent fixture. It doesn't change with essentially with the municipal change in municipal bodies. There has to be alignment between the administrative wing and the political wing. And I'm a believer that alignment is possible. Often the administrative wing tends to actually keep away from the political wing and does not inform enough. my experience has been that if you keep our local politicians and colleagues fully informed, you make them aware of what the vision should be and aware of the urban dynamics and what the city is going through and everything, there will be a positive response. So there is a need to develop a very close, trusting and relationship of mutual respect between the administrative wing and the political wing. If that turns into a tradition in municipal management, I don't think these changes every 3 years would impact or create too much volatility in the process. So I mean, my experience in municipal governance of several years shows that local politicians are extremely positive in moving the city forward. Actually, in credit rating the city and in flotation of the municipal bond, I received more support from the local politicians than from my own government and senior colleagues. So I must say that there is a clear opportunity here and it can be done.
Well, thank you. I have 2 more questions.
Please.
Could you talk a little bit about the challenges that the cities will have in the future, the urban areas?
You're asking difficult questions. One of the biggest challenge, there are 2 kinds of challenges. One is a positive challenge, that cities which are in the coastal areas or are sitting or are located in growth corridors will face a sudden surge of activity, migration, economic development, and I think it's a positive challenge. So one thing they'll have to, and the pressures from globalization. So those cities which are mainstreamed into the economic process, they have the challenge of fast development and they'll have to respond to it quickly. And they'll have to change the way they think city management. Because the forces are not local, the forces are international. You know, if, take for example, Ahmedabad is getting international investment, an FDI investment. But for the company which is in US or Europe, they can choose Vietnam, they can choose Bangalore, they can choose a different city. So every city will have to be nimble, flexible, and have the right policies to remain competitive. So that is the challenge of those cities. We are in the mainstream of economic development. The challenge of cities which are outside the economic development corridors is going to be very difficult because they can lose in this whole game, and they can lose financially and they can lose administratively. And we are already seeing this happening in several cities in India which are in the more deeper into the heartland of the country. They are not exactly aligned. So that would be a major challenge, I think.
What do you do with those cities that are not in the industrial corridors? Because we have a lot of them in Mexico City, in Mexico.
My goodness,
Yeah.
This is a tough, even more tough, this thing. I think that we have to think about economic clusters and city regions and regional growth. So what can be done, that you have a central urban node or a city that is within the mainstream, but then it can produce a ripple effect to bring other satellite centers into it. So there is a possibility to do that. That is in terms of industrial growth. But every city has its comparative advantage. You know, it doesn't have to be the best manufacturing center in the world. It can be a good service industry. It could be, my city, Lucknow, used to be the center for poets, for writers, and for artists, and for beautiful architecture. You know, I think if that city enhances its cultural value, it works on its built heritage, it works on its history, it can be in the forefront and compete with cities which are economic engines of growth. So they have to be diversity in approaches. So you'll have to think of it. Mexico has great history and great cultural tradition, and it can be positioned. Those cities can also position themselves extremely well. Some cities are close to national parks. Some cities are close to environmentally important sites. So every city will have to, but it has to sit down and think this through. It is about marketing yourself. It is about marketing and positioning and branding. It's a hugely complex task, and it is, as I keep saying, urban management is not about urban development, urban management is just not an idea. There is a need for clear and strong definition of urban management, and that has to be understood. It's a very professional thing, and if cities can market themselves, can position themselves well as cultural centers or tourist nodes or something where there are great libraries like you have, then these cities can actually create a new market and a new world for themselves. So yes, that is, I hope it's not a very simplistic answer, but that is the way for each one of us to follow our comparative advantage at the subnational level.
Well, that was a very good answer. Thank you. And the last question, now that you are working for the World Bank, how can you share your experience with the world, with Latin America, with Asia, with different authorities? How can we do that?
I think for us, the most important part is, in one sentence, yes, we should collaborate with the Monterrey Tech to build on the amazing amount of experience and technical excellence that you have in wholesaling knowledge. So yes, that is number one. But the most important thing for the World Bank, the experience of the World Bank is the experience of its clients. And the role of the World Bank should be to ensure that the local value, the best practices that have been achieved by our clients are available for other clients and for other parts of the world. So World Bank, instead of becoming a repository of knowledge or a fountainhead of knowledge, I'm not a believer in that. World Bank should be an instrument which should actually leverage knowledge, capture knowledge, and bring it around to all our clients with the help of technical organizations of knowledge and research and learning, people like you. And if we do that, because there is a huge need, what I keep saying, the challenge of migration of another 1.5 billion people in the next 15-20 years in urban areas, and the lack of capacities of cities to really respond to that challenge. We have to create this massive process of dissemination. So our collaboration will be important.
Thank you very much. We are looking forward to do that. We really appreciate your time and your answers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.